Dunhollow is a place where different people have different experiences. Some people get lost on the way, while others find themselves trapped in a strange loop. They keep roaming in the same place, walking in circles, only to end up exactly where they started, unable to break free until the loop mysteriously ends on its own. Some visitors claim they have lost their senses, seeing long-departed family members. Others encounter strangers from different eras, people they would never have expected to meet. And something very similar happened to Martin in today's story. Martin was a cinematographer who had traveled to Dunhollow with his film crew to shoot a movie. This story has been shared with us by Anton, a filmmaker from Prague, whose elder brother experienced this eerie event firsthand. Before we proceed, if you have ever had a real supernatural encounter, feel free to share your story with us. We love uncovering chilling, unique, and mysterious real-life horror experiences. And if you're enjoying these stories, don't forget to support our work. Now, let's move on to today's tale. Martin and his crew of about 30 people were in the European countryside, preparing to film at Dunhollow, a location selected by their producer. Many of you might have heard of Dunhollow, one of the most haunted villages in Western Europe. This place has a dark history. Decades ago, the entire village vanished overnight. Legends tell of a nobleman, Lord Reginald Hawthorne, who set his sights on the village chieftain's daughter. In a desperate attempt to protect her honor, the entire village disappeared without a trace. The villagers cursed the land before they left, ensuring that Dunhollow would forever remain abandoned, uninhabitable by the living. However, as with all forsaken places, what remains empty for humans often becomes a dwelling for other entities. Martin and his crew were granted filming permits with strict instructions. No one was to remain in Dunhollow past 5 p.m. The administration made it clear that they had to vacate the location before sundown. The crew complied, arriving early each morning and leaving before dusk. To save time, they booked a nearby countryside inn, just a few minutes' drive from the filming site. The entire crew was both thrilled and anxious about the shoot. For many, this was their first time filming in a location known for its supernatural reputation. They had all read about the village's grim past, and some secretly hoped for an eerie experience to add some excitement to their trip. But for the first 2 days, nothing unusual happened. Everything seemed normal. However, Martin began noticing something odd. Each morning, as the crew arrived on set, he saw an old woman standing about 40 to 50 feet away. She would appear as soon as they started filming and would remain there all day, watching them in silence. The first day he saw her, Martin thought she was a local villager, curious about the filming. Perhaps she had never seen a movie being made before and was simply observing from a distance. He brushed it off. But on the second day, she was there again, standing in the exact same spot. Something about her presence unsettled Martin. She stood there, unmoving, watching them under the scorching sun. The heat was unbearable. Dunhollow was located in one of the hottest regions of the country. If you placed an egg on a car's roof, it would turn into an omelet within minutes. And yet, the old woman remained, unaffected by the heat, without shade or water. Martin pointed her out to his friend. "Do you see that woman? She was standing there all day yesterday too. She hasn't moved at all." His friend dismissed his concerns. "This is the countryside, Martin. These people are used to harsh conditions. You city folks can't handle the heat, but they can. Maybe she's a shepherdess or just an old lady who enjoys watching people. Don't let it distract you." Still, Martin couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. Every time he glanced in her direction, he found her staring right back at him. Something inside him told him he needed to talk to her. He decided that after his next scene, he would approach her and ask what she was doing there. But when he finally got a break, the woman was gone. He scanned the area, but she had vanished. Puzzled, he walked over to the spot where she had been standing. There was no trace of her. However, something caught his eye, a peculiar black stone, different from the other rocks scattered around. It had an unnatural shine, almost as if it were glowing. The moment he touched it, a strange sensation coursed through him. It felt charged, like an energy source pulsating in his palm. Intrigued, he slipped the stone into his pocket and returned to the chute. That evening, after a long day of filming, the crew gathered at the inn's rooftop for drinks. Martin, slightly tipsy, stepped away to smoke a cigarette. As he exhaled, his gaze drifted toward the inn's boundary wall, and there she was. The same old woman, standing just beyond the wall, staring at him. His heart pounded. He spun around to call his friend, but when he turned back, she was gone. That night, Martin struggled to sleep. Sometime past midnight, he awoke to a suffocating pressure on his chest. His breath came in short gasps. When he opened his eyes, terror paralyzed him. The old woman was sitting on his chest, her hollow eyes locked onto his. He tried to scream, to move, but his body wouldn't obey. He was trapped, held down by an invisible force. He gathered every ounce of strength and managed to whisper his friend's name. The moment his friend stirred awake, the woman vanished. Gasping, Martin told his friend what had happened, but his friend dismissed it as sleep paralysis, a product of an overactive imagination. But the real horror was yet to come. The next night, Martin woke up miles away from the inn, standing on the road leading to Dunhollow. He had no memory of leaving his bed. His friends found him just in time, his eyes rolled back, as if in a trance, his body moving as though guided by an unseen force. If they hadn't stopped him, he would have walked straight into the cursed village. The crew left for home the next day, but something even stranger happened. Martin's train ticket was missing from the official list, despite having a confirmed booking. Forced to stay behind for another day, he sought the help of a local priest, who immediately asked, "Did you take anything from Dunhollow?" When Martin showed him the black stone, the priest's expression darkened. "You must return it," he said. "The spirit of Dunhollow follows you." Martin's friend hurried back and left the stone at the village's entrance. That night, Martin had one last dream. The old woman stood before him, smiling. Then she turned and disappeared into the mist. After that, he never saw her again. Dunhollow remains a mystery, a place where reality bends, where the past lingers, and where some travelers encounter forces beyond their understanding. And so, I leave you with one question. If you found an object in a haunted place, would you take it with you?